So Mark chapter 15, verse 33 records a 3-hour eclipse during Christ's crucifixion. It happened during a full moon. So you don't get solar eclipses during a full moon. They only happen during a new moon.
So your suggestion is that planet Nibiru is responsible for unleashing the fountains of the great deep, as well as basically unleashing Noah's flood, as
Right.
well as the eclipse over Jesus Christ's crucifixion 2,300 years later,
Right.
which means it's due for another orbit basically right
Yes.
about now, right?
Right. To see all
Is
the
this why they're
dominoes start
retrofitting
coming-
the Salt Lake Temple for earthquakes? Because they know Planet 9 is coming back and it's going to straight up shake everything when it passes by. And we want to be
Yeah.
able to stand in holy places. Is that where you're getting at? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Midnight Strike Through Mormons. I'm your host, Cardinellis, and today I'm joined in the studio of love with... I just thought I called the studio of love. That was pretty cool.
That's fine, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you totally looked at me like, whoa, what you doing, bro? You know, so anyway, we're in the studio of love, which we got to call it. But actually, I'll have to change the lighting to hold on before we do that, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Now, boom. Actually, no, that's too crazy.
That looks kind of evil.
Yeah, it looks like kind of evil. Like, oh,
Wow.
the studio of love. Hey, purple actually kind of
hey.
suits the show.
Yeah, hey,
You know what
it's not
I'm
bad.
saying? And it suits you too, Brad. Look at that. So
Right.
what do you think about the purple, Quaker? You like it?
It's cool. It's more spacey.
So welcome. We'll go with it just for this podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
Well-
it matches Scott's shirt.
Yeah, well, you know, we might
Yeah.
as well introduce him. Here's me, Cardinellis.
Thank
There's
you.
Brad Whitbeck. And here is Scott
Scott Cold.
All right.
Yep.
Dentist extraordinaire. And
Yes.
mastermind behind the theory that planet Nibiru is responsible for the eclipse in 3rd Nephi 11. And it's the only thing that could explain... I botched it. Tell us what we're talking about today, bro.
All right. Well, we're talking about Nibiru. So
That's
Nibiru. Yeah.
Nibiru.
The ninth planet, or the mystery wandering planet. Okay.
And that's responsible for the eclipse in 3rd Nephi, the 3 hours of darkness before Jesus Christ came. You said a solar eclipse couldn't explain that because that would last days, but you think planet Nibiru, also known as Planet X? This is Planet X, right?
Well, yeah, it's Planet X. So let's back up here. It's Mark chapter 15, verse 33.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's it
This
say?
is Christ's crucifixion.
Oh,
So-
okay.
Yeah.
So hit it. Explain it. The floor is yours, bro. The floor is yours.
All right.
And let's start with the high level. What is Nibiru, so that anyone
Right.
getting into this can come to it.
All right.
With
So
solid
Nibiru is a Babylonian term for a wandering star that crosses or transitions like a riverboat or a ferry across a body of water. So anciently, the Babylonians, Greeks, whoever, they didn't really know that there were planets in our solar system. They just saw wandering stars. Okay. So, Nibiru was one of these wandering stars, but it was a little bit unusual among the wandering stars that they saw. And so Nibiru is also called Marduk's star. So it was, which the gods in heaven caused to be visible. So it kind of showed up out of nowhere all of a sudden. And it's also described as a shepherd star, or with other stars or bodies following it. Now, if you know anything about the mythology of Marduk, he was Nimrod's son. And he was actually put in charge of practicing human sacrifices.
Mm.
So this is a very
Tough
ominous
job title.
Yeah.
What was that job
exactly.
description? Must introduce child sacrifice into society. And
Yeah,
lift 50
crazy,
pounds.
huh? Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So so Nibiru was all in 1995. There was this lady named Nancy Leader, and she was the founder of Zeta Talk. Have you ever heard of this? So she claimed that the Zeta Reticuli aliens told her that Nibiru would pass through our inner solar system in May of 2003 and cause Earth to experience a physical pole shift that would destroy most of humanity.
Mm.
Now, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
That we
We
know
dodged
of.
a big one.
That we know
yeah, I
of.
know we missed it. What the heck?
Yeah.
So that didn't happen. So she changed it to 2012. And other doomsdayers joined in on this, because they synced it up with a Mayan calendar.
With the December
and spreading-
21st.
Yeah.
Nice.
Exactly. Spreading doomsday predictions that didn't happen.
Mhm.
So then there was a Christian numerologist named David Mead who predicted, that Nibiru would cause mass destruction on September 23rd, 2017. That date, that was, I guess it's the passing of Jupiter through Virgo that is pretty much depicted in Revelation 12, if you know that verse.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
What is it? Just for those of us that
Yeah.
aren't scriptorians, what's the verse?
Yeah, so it's
You can give us the paraphrase thing about what it says. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
it's basically Doc talks about there are 12 stars around her head, and you got the sun behind her head, her body,
okay.
and then the dragons, at her feet and stuff like that.
Okay,
Anyway,
cool. Yeah,
and
yeah,
Jupiter
And it
passes
lines
her-
up well with the constellations.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Jupiter representing Christ in
Right.
retrograde goes into her womb.
Mhm. Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Rock
Something like
on.
that. Yeah. So anyway, but there was no Neruba that showed up then either. So it sounds like this is kind of like all just a bust, or is it just a myth? Well, it turns out there are a couple of Caltech scientists from 2016 through 2021. Their names are Mike Brown and Konstantin Batygin, and they published a series of papers that use mathematical models and computer simulations to formulate their hypotheses that Planet 9 exists. And their model predicts that 99% confidence that this planet exists because of the movements of objects in the Kuiper belt. And so they describe Planet 9 as being 5 to 10 Earth masses and having an estimated solar orbit of between 10,000 and 20,000 years. So it's a little bit smaller than Neptune or Uranus. So I've got a little graph here. Can you see that now?
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So this is Planet 9. Okay. Right
Oh
here.
wow! Look. Oh, so it's at a strange orbit, different than all of the
Yeah.
other planets. Okay.
So it follows an opposite orbit, and what it's
Huh.
doing is it's passing through the Oort cloud, and it's causing these Oort cloud bodies to kind of veer off at a 90-degree angle to the rest of the Kuiper belt. And so I know that the other researchers, that are studying this, say that, well, there's no evidence of a a massive planet that big that's orbiting in the Kuiper belt. But they counter this. Their critics saying that their findings show that it traverses the Kuiper belt and has perturbed objects. So it's not in the Kuiper belt, but it goes across it basically. Okay.
Okay. And about how? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So they're saying that it's 10,000 to 20,000 years. But here's the thing, though, is that all that basically means is they don't know. And so that's the biggest problems with their Planet 9 hypothesis, is that they can't see it. They don't know where it is.
And that's a really huge window of how long its orbit could be.
Exactly. And they don't know if it traverses the inner or outer solar system. It just, that's about all they it's about all they know right now. They just know that there's something there. It's causing these, Oort bodies to fling out and stuff like that. So,
wow, that's pretty hardcore, man.
yeah.
That's a cool
Okay, so
graphic.
you think this explains Mark? What's the scripture in Mark?
Yeah. So here's the deal. So Mark chapter 15, verse 33 records a 3-hour eclipse during Christ's crucifixion. So let's back up and examine who exactly Mark was. So Mark was not an apostle. He was an evangelist. He was a Gentile. He was a Roman. And so evangelist basically means he was a missionary. And so he wrote his gospel, or his evangelist proclamation about Christ to the Roman elites, because he comes from that circle. He was a physician. He was a grandson of the attorney that represented Pilate before Tiberius regarding the commotion over the crucifixion of Christ. So Tiberius was furious with Pilate because he allowed the Jews to coerce him into crucifying an innocent man. And Tiberius saw this as a sign of weakness in Pilate, and he had to remove from office and imprisoned. So now the Gospel of Mark was written about 60 years, AD, and it was actually the first gospel to be written. Mm-hmm. So Mark,
it's the oldest manuscript that we have.
Yeah.
And the others are dependent upon it. Like it definitely looks like Luke was written referencing Mark, as was Matthew referencing Mark, and our oldest fragments of papyri that we have of the original Gospels in Koine Greek, of the synoptic Gospels that we have, the oldest is of Mark. So, right. I mean, there's arguments that there might have been other non-canonical Gospels written earlier, but none of them have been accepted into the canon. And I'm actually putting on your screen just right now so the people can see. Here's Mark. I think you referred to Mark 15:33, right? Where it says, "Let the Christ, the King of Israel, come down now from the cross so that we may see him and believe. And even those who were crucified with him berated him. From the 6th hour until the 9th hour, darkness came over all the land. And at the 9th hour, Jesus cried in a loud voice, Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" So in the famous passage that he utters before giving up the ghost, it references specifically 3 hours of darkness from one measure to another measure. And you think this was Planet X, Planet Nibiru?
Yeah, well, okay. This gets deeper. So these are not cloudy skies. This is not just like, it's going to rain. No, this is like a full-on eclipse. Now
hold on a second. Just pause here for a second, Scott. So all these purple lines are existing planets, or are those comets?
No, these are Oort cloud bodies or Kuiper belt bodies.
Okay, what is the Oort cloud and the Kuiper belt? Really fast before we go on.
The same thing. They're the same thing, basically. It's just two different names for the same thing. So around our solar system, there's a band of basically like comets, or you could call them like space icebergs that float around the outer perimeter of our solar system. Okay. And so from time to time, you'll see a comet or something like that. That's one of these space icebergs that are out there in the Kuiper belt that come in to the inner solar system and, evaporate or go back out or hit Jupiter or whatever. And so Planet 9 traverses the Kuiper belt. And so, it's causing some of these bodies that are there to, instead of being on a horizontal plane, to shift to a 90-degree plane. So they're kind of going around the other way. And so that's how they are able to determine that there's this 9th planet that's out there that's very massive. And so, like I said, they can't see it, they don't know where it is, and they don't know if it goes into the inner or outer solar system. That's what they don't know yet. And so now, back to the Gospel of Mark, chapter 15, verse 33.
Yeah, got it right here.
Okay. And so picking up from there. So now Mark, he references this 3-hour eclipse because it was a very unusual event.
The Romans take off the slide so we can see you. Take down the slide so we can see you.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. So.
All right, sorry about that, bro. You got to get your beautiful dentist face on there. Okay, keep going.
So yeah, so what we've got here is we've got Mark tied in the timing of the crucifixion to the 3-hour eclipse, the sign of Christ's deity, and also because it was very prominent in recent Roman memory that there was this crazy 3-hour eclipse that didn't fit any cycle of eclipses that they knew of. So an eclipse has a pattern. The Romans were smart enough. They knew how to predict the eclipses, solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, and things like that. But this one was outside of the norm. And so, and not only that, an eclipse, normally an eclipse lasts like 5 minutes and it's done.
Okay, yeah.
It doesn't last 3 hours. And usually you don't normally have big earthquakes happen at the same moment you have an eclipse.
Yeah, okay.
So.
But a planet passing by
could
cause both tectonic activity and an eclipse.
And would this be like, you said it's 5 times the mass of Earth?
5 to 10 is what they estimate, yeah.
So, oh man, that's like huge. Wouldn't that throw off the Earth's orbit and everything too, or?
Well, that's, if it's close enough, absolutely.
Okay. So the theory is maybe that it passed somewhere between like Mercury and Venus's area, or
close enough that it would be able to eclipse some kind of light and cause darkness, but not close enough that, we got straight up moonfall going on right here.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Now that's the other thing too, is that it happened during a full moon. So you don't get solar eclipses during a full moon. They only happen during a new moon. Okay.
Huh.
And so we'll go to this Greek historian named Phlegon. So Phlegon, he was a Greek historian that compiled a history of Rome called the Olympiad. And it's about a 400-year, history volume. And in this volume, he records a 3-hour eclipse in 33 AD. As I mentioned, this eclipse happened during a full moon, and stars were visible while the sun was eclipsed. Earthquakes were all over the Roman Empire. Now, as I mentioned, it's impossible to have, the moon causing an eclipse when it's, in the full phase. It's in the opposite side of the Earth from the sun.
So it looks like I'm reading an article right here. The AD 33 date of the crucifixion, according to Phlegon, spelled with a PH. That's why it wasn't coming up in the beginning.
Right.
A secular Greek historian. Oh my gosh. It's widely reported by numerous ancient writers. However, unlike the New Testament, of which there are 25,000 early copies, many of these ancient writers' manuscripts are fragmented. But wow, Phlegon of Tralles documented a 3-hour eclipse. Okay, continue.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Right.
This is intriguing.
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
This is really fascinating. So, So the Book of Mormon also accounts at the time of Christ's crucifixion, describe great earthquakes, tornadoes, storms, lightning, thunders, and tempests, tectonic shifting, atmospheric disturbances, unlike anything before, according to Nephi records. So this planetary body being, 5 to 10 masses of the Earth, being close enough that it can cause an eclipse, it certainly could have caused a gravitational pulling on the Earth that would cause tectonic shifting. Okay. So,
wow.
So, I mean, this really explains, now you're going to kind of see all the dominoes.
Is this why they're retrofitting the Salt Lake Temple for earthquakes? Because they know Planet 9 is coming back and it's going to straight up shake everything when it passes by. And we want to be able to stand in holy places. Is that where you're getting at? Do I see where we're going?
Oh, yeah. We're getting there. We got some stuff to talk about.
Okay. But on behalf of Kwaku, I ask the question. What does this have to do with lizard people? No, I'm totally kidding. Keep going. Keep saying what you say. Keep educating us.
All right. So we have crucifixion evidence. Okay. So, all right. So we already talked about all that. So Nibiru. Now, could Nibiru have caused Noah's flood? And is this the
wait, Noah's flood too?
Noah's flood. Yes. Check this out. Okay. So remember the Babylonians, they said it was a shepherd planet that kind of came in, and they associated with Marduk, this murderer that would do human sacrifices. Okay. Let's dig into this. Noah's flood was about 2,300 years before Christ. Genesis 7 verses 11 through 12 says that fountains of the great deep were broken up and the windows of heaven were open. Now get this. Have you ever heard of the book of Jasher?
Yeah, it's in the Apocrypha, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It's apocryphal writing.
Okay.
Book of Jasher, chapter 6, verse 11, this is what it reads. It says, and on that day, the Lord caused the whole earth to shake, and the sun darkened, and the fountains of the world raged, and the whole earth was moved violently, and lightning flashed and thunder roared, and the fountains of the earth were broken up, such as was not known to the inhabitants before. And God did this mighty act in order to terrify the sons of men, that they may not no more do evil upon the earth. Now, does this sound similar to, the time of Christ's crucifixion?
Yes.
It does. It does. So I'm postulating that Nibiru contributed or may have been the impetus for Noah's flood.
Wow. Okay. So we could say your suggestion is that planet, how do you pronounce it again?
Nibiru.
Nibiru?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So your suggestion is that planet Nibiru is responsible for unleashing the fountains of the great deep, as well as basically unleashing Noah's flood, as well as the eclipse over Jesus Christ's crucifixion 2,300 years later, which means it's due for another orbit basically right about now, right?
Right. So now let's take a look. Let's take a look at this. So consider Nibiru's orbit. So there's two theories as to where did this planet 9 come from. Is it a interloper, which means that it came from another solar system and it's interjected or got captured by the sun's gravitational pull, and it's now into the sun's orbiting around the sun, or the sun has a twin that we don't know about and it's orbiting both our sun and the twin of our sun somewhere. But, nobody has any evidence that there's
But
a
how
twin
could the
to
sun have a twin that we don't see?
Well,
I know that it's common in
that's-
other solar systems
Mhm.
to have twin suns. That's why, in Star Wars, there's the twin
Right.
suns that you see over Tatooine
Right.
and so on and so forth. And it's kind of odd that our solar system has no twin. It would have to be some kind of like dwarf that already burnt out billions of years ago or something like that, if I remember my astronomy correctly.
Right.
So are you thinking maybe Planet 9 is the puttered out twin sun floating around the cosmic space? No. Okay.
It's not massive enough to be that. No. So it's more likely, and this is the thing, is that it's more likely a interloper that got picked up by the sun's gravity. It was floating by, and so now, because it's an interloper, it has its orbit is beginning to come in closer and closer to the sun, but it is traversing the inner solar system, and that's why it flies by the Earth.
And so it's starting to come in more and more frequent intervals, you're suggesting.
Right.
Oh,
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly. So, and this brings us to our time. Okay. So scriptures say that before Christ's second coming, there will be massive earthquake, meteor strikes, and the continents will rejoin together. This is found in Revelations chapter 16, verses 18 through 21, D&C 133, verses 22 through 24, and D&C 88-87. So,
Read it again. What does what does Doctrine and Covenant say?
All right, so let's start up with Revelation.
I feel like when Joe Rogan had Alex Jones on and he had Jamie checking every one of the facts just so people wouldn't get angry in the comments. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, you got to catch me up. I'm not scriptural enough or conspiracy theory enough to be catching up on all these things in real time. So tell me what Doctrine and Covenant said.
Okay. Doctrine and Covenant, section 133, verses 22 through 24 says that the mountains will break down and valleys fill up. The great deep will be driven back into the north countries, and the islands will become one land. And so, this is what I'm seeing here, is that for all the continents to rejoin together without causing widespread flooding. Okay, so think about this. You have all the continents slamming together. What are you going to get?
An oblong, weird shaped island that might tip over like Guam. There was that one congressman that was really worried that Guam might tip over if everybody went to one side. you get a mega island. You get like Pangea all over again, right?
Right, exactly. But in order for that, if that were to just happen, where would the Atlantic Ocean go?
There would be no Atlantic. It would go into just what the mega ocean was that surrounded the one big island of all of the continents, right?
Right, exactly. But it would likely splash over, the adjoining continents.
Oh, yeah, it would cause massive flooding. Yeah, okay.
Massive flooding. Okay, that's not what it says here. It says that the ocean it'll be pushed off into the north. Okay, so this is my theory on this is that Nibiru flies by, is close enough that the gravitational pull actually pulls on the heavier parts of the Earth.
Oh, like
and
the
it
moon
actually
affects
pulls,
the tides.
Yeah, exactly. And so the tide is pulling on the continent surfaces, and those continental surfaces are heavier than the water, and so it pulls those continental surfaces up, and so the water kind of washes out of the way and gets pushed up, so it doesn't cause that massive flooding that you would expect.
Dude, I love this theory. This theory gets like a solid 11 out of 10 for me right now.
This is awesome.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, This is great. From a dentist. That's awesome. We need more dental school.
Yeah. I should have been a geologist. I mean, no, I'm kidding.
You got the beard for it, dog.
Well, you think about this. I mean, this is physics. So gravitational pull would cause a flattening of the Earth's continental surfaces too, because the pull would be uniform. So, I mean, this is what it says. It says that all the valleys will be built up, the mountains will break down. It's going to flatten the Earth because the gravitational pull is uniform. Now, DNC 88, 8 verse 87 says the Earth will reel to and fro like a drunk man. The sun will be blocked out, and the moon bathed in blood, and the stars cast down. So it's talking about a solar and lunar eclipse. Now, the problem is, again, the solar and lunar eclipses, they're cyclical, okay? They're fairly regular. And so to say that we're going to have these solar or lunar eclipses that are, cyclical be a sign, that's not a very good sign. We need something that really, really stands out, okay?
Okay.
So a sign that really, really stands out is a total eclipse of the sun and a lunar eclipse, which makes the moon look like blood red.
At the same time.
At the same time.
Which means it couldn't be the moon.
Is a sign.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah, because the moon, it couldn't be the moon doing this then.
Right.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. So that's what the sign is. It's not just successional. It's at the same time.
So Mormons really do get their own planet. We're the only ones that have contextualized the ninth planet. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Made it straight up biblical. It's freaking ours at this point. You know what I'm saying? I think it's ours. So, okay, keep going.
So, okay. So now, so this is the thing. So based on all these events, the scriptures prophesying solar and lunar eclipse happening at the same time, you got massive earthquakes, and it calls all the continents to rejoin without massive widespread flooding. It seems that planet Nibiru, or the ninth planet, is a real deal, and it's coming back. Now the question is when. So, and this goes on to, Adam on Diamond.
Oh, get out of town. Get out of town.